Hello, everyone out there in YouTube world, Facebook world, social media world, the world, all the places where you could be able to see this and enjoy another episode of Musings with MGL. So, today's episode, I want to do a quick little video, and this image that I have on the screen here is an image of a protest that took place today in Michigan. Okay. So the title of this episode is basically going to be America is getting cabin fever. All right. We're going on probably, a month or so, if not more, of this lockdown basically across the country. I mean, obviously, we got individual states, and some states are more locked down than others, but we're basically coming into a full month, if not more, I think, for some places, of this lockdown, this stay-at-home order, this quarantine, whatever the hell you want to call it. But we've been into it now for going on a month or so. And I think what you're starting to see out there is people are just getting cabin fever, all right? And I'm going to use that as a broad word. And I don't mean just, the typical definition of cabin fever. It means you've just been stuck inside for a little while and you're starting to get, itchy, you're starting to get edgy, you're starting to get restless, and you want to get out and you want to do stuff. And so people, get mental health issues and they start freaking out, so they call it cabin fever. But I don't mean it in the sense of you're just stuck inside, so people are getting bored, and so they're pushing back, they're going out, they're defying orders because they're just bored and restless, and they miss going to the mall and they miss going to the movies, so now they're going out and they're just causing trouble. That's not what's going on here. That's part of it. I do think that America in general is starting to get cabin fever. I think most of America who have been complying with these rules are tired of sitting at home and doing nothing. And then they are getting, restless, and they're missing being able to go out. They're missing being able to see their friends, being able to hang out with their grandparents, do all the things that they're used to doing, even something like going to work. So you do have a percentage of the population that's getting that. But what you're also seeing is you're starting to get a larger percentage of the population who's starting to wonder what the hell we're doing. And is this all worth it? Why are we still doing this? When can we stop doing this? They're not getting any answers from the government. And I'm not picking sides here, conservative, liberal, Republicans, Democrat, Trump, not Trump. That's not what I care about right now. I'm talking about in general, people are not getting the answers that they need to get in order to continue to comply with these draconian rules that are going on out there. If you were to give them a time frame, look, you're definitely going to only have to do this for 2 more weeks. I think most people would voluntarily suck it up and do it for 2 more weeks, just like they have been for the first month. But the problem is nobody's giving them those answers. And I understand they may not be able to give them those answers. Everybody is just kind of taking this day by day and flying by the seat of their pants to some extent on how to deal with this issue. But the problem with that is again, people are only going to be able to do something that they don't want to do for a limited period of time, but there's always got to be a light at the end of the tunnel, okay? I've heard it described this way by other people on YouTube and other podcasters and stuff, is it's similar to being on a diet, okay? So, for example, if you just tell somebody, look, you have to give up carbs, okay? But you only have to give them up for 30 days. If you can give up carbs for 30 days, at the end of the 30 days, I'll let you have a pizza again, okay? Say you're a personal trainer or whatever. Most people are going to be able to do that, all right? Because they can see an end in sight. They're going to say, all right, 30 days, they can get out a little calendar, they can mark it off, and then they see the light at the end of the tunnel, so they're willing to put up with something that they really don't want to do for a finite period of time because they know it's going to come to an end. But if you came to somebody and just said, look, you need to give up carbs until I tell you to stop giving up carbs, all right? You won't know when you can go back to having a pizza or when you can cheat and have a slice of bread or, some rice or whatever. I'm just going to tell you when I feel like telling you. And you know what? I don't know when that's going to be. Could be a month, could be 6 weeks, could be 2 months, could be, there's some crazy people out there saying it could be up to a year until we create, a vaccine or whatever. So nobody's going to do that. If you go to somebody and tell them, look, give up carbs until I tell you not to, and I can't tell you when it's going to be, you'll get some people that are going to do it in the beginning. All right, well, let's try it and let's see, because they're waiting for you to tell them when it's okay to start eating carbs again. But then if every 3 weeks they go to you and you say, okay, when can I start eating carbs? And they say, well, I don't know. Now it's going to be another 2 more weeks. Get back with me in 2 more weeks. And then the 2 more weeks comes by, and then they go, oh, well, it's actually going to be like another 2 weeks. And then you got another guy over here saying, you know what, I don't think it's going to be another 2 weeks. I think it's going to be another 2 months. People aren't going to do that, all right? They're going to get tired of it, and they're going to push back. And that's what you're seeing with these protests out here. Like this, again, this is a picture of the one here that's in Michigan today, but they're happening more and more all around the world. People are staging these. It used to be sit-ins where you would go to a place and sit down. Now they're basically walkouts, I guess, where people are just walking outside and saying, enough is enough. I'm not going to do this. Michigan is kind of at the forefront of it right now because the governor up there has become more draconian than most governors. I mean, the orders that they keep issuing in Michigan just keep, ratcheting it up more and more as to what's going on. You start with a stay-at-home order, and then you ratchet up more, and then you ratchet up more, and you put more restrictions on there. And people were willing to go along with those restrictions to give the government the benefit of the doubt to see how it all played out. But when they don't see an end in sight, and then what's happening is it's actually getting worse and worse, and now they're doing things like you can't even go to the store and buy farming equipment or yard equipment or seeds or baby stuff like the order in Michigan. They were kind of locking down the baby areas. Well, how is it not essential to go into the baby area to get diapers and clothes and stuff like that? So here you have a governor who's just deciding, look, the only thing that I think is essential is basically food, okay? If you're going to go to the store to get anything other than food and water, then you don't need to go to the store. You need to stay at home, all right? Your religion is not essential. So it's essential for you to go to Walmart and get food, but your religion is not essential. Yard stuff is not essential. Seeds are not essential. Baby stuff is not essential. So they basically decided that you have no business going anywhere other than for what they claim you have business going to the store for. You can't even go to your own houses. So one of the things in Michigan was if you own one house in a part of Michigan and then you owned a second house in a part of Michigan, you couldn't travel from one house to the other. Even if you didn't talk to a single soul from your one house to the other. You are not allowed to come out of your house, get in your car, drive from your house A to your house B, get out of your car at house B, and go into house B without ever talking to or coming in contact with a single person during that trip. You're now not allowed to do that in Michigan because you might spread the virus. Well, how the hell does that mean? How are you spreading the virus? You're not having contact with anybody. You're not doing anything other than driving from one house that you own and have contact with to another house that you own and have contact with. You can't go to your family members' houses. So if your family member says, I'm staying at home and not going anywhere, and you say, I'm staying at home and not going anywhere, so the two of you aren't having interactions with anybody. But if you want to drive over to the other person's house who doesn't have the virus because they haven't seen anybody, and you don't have the virus because you haven't seen anybody, you can't go hang out at that person's house. That doesn't make any sense. And again, I think the biggest issue that came up, those are two big issues, but the other biggest issue that came up is when they shut down the stores basically and said you can't sell anything that we don't deem essentials. Now people can't go to the store and get their stuff. So it kind of started in Michigan because she is, the governor there has put in some of the most draconian rules out there. But obviously the protests are happening everywhere. And then this is an organized protest. I think you're starting to see just non-organized protests where people are just saying, you know what, forget it. I'm going out. I'm going to risk it, and I'm going to go to the office. I'm going to go to the park, and I'm going to play with my kids. I'm going to go over to a friend's house even when I'm not supposed to. You're seeing individuals rebelling and saying, you know what, I'm not doing this crap anymore. And then, of course, you're seeing these organized demonstrations where people are coming out. And again, the reason is because you're telling these people to do these things, but you're not giving them a light at the end of the tunnel, an end of it, and you're not giving them, at this point, I think, strong enough reason for them to do it. So when we start seeing the numbers that they're putting out, and the models are being completely wrong. They start out with 1.2 million are going to get sick, and then 200,000 are going to get or die, and then 90,000 are going to die, and now 60,000 are going to die. People are starting to do a balancing act and say, look, what you've been telling me these numbers are going to be scared me so much that I was willing to put up with this and shut down the economy and stay at home and risk my business, risk my livelihood in order to stay at home because of what you were telling me. But the more and more these models turn out not to be accurate, people are starting to think, well, wait a minute, why the hell are we still doing this? Why am I doing this? And for anybody who's going to say, well, it's because you're staying home that the models are changing, that's true and not true. The reason I would say it's not true is because the models were taking into account all of these measures. It wasn't like the models came out and said, if we took 0 measures at all, we're going to get 1.2 million deaths. And since we've been doing these measures, we're now only down to 60. Yay, the measures are working. No, the predictive model included us doing these measures, and it still had 1.2, and then it went down to 200, and then 90, and then 60. So you've got a couple things going on here. You got people being told to continue to do these things with no end in sight, and then you've got people being told to continue to do these things based on information that is turning out not to be accurate and not to be correct. And then you throw in all the political infighting that's going on with people, governors pointing fingers at each other, the federal government pointing fingers at the local governments, and then everybody pointing fingers at the World Health Organization, and all you're seeing is the people in charge bickering about everything, changing the numbers, and not giving people a light at the end of the tunnel. And again, that's up and down the line. This isn't, I'm not taking Trump's side or not Trump's side or the governor's side or not the governor's side. I'm just telling you what's going on. What I observe is going on out there in the country right now is people are getting to the breaking point, okay? I don't think this is going to go on for more than another 2 weeks at the most without seeing the cap explode, basically. Shh. That's what happens. See, we don't edit here. We're live outside. Dogs barking. Hush. Thank you. So I don't think you're going to see more than a couple weeks and the freaking top's just going to blow off this thing, okay? People are just going to do what they're going to do, all right? They've had it. They might be willing to give it another week or so, but if they don't start getting some better information about this, if they don't start getting some better numbers, if they don't start seeing a light at the end of the tunnel, they're going to freak out. And I think that's why you see a lot of the stuff going on with, like, the president trying to reopen the economy and trying to push this thing faster, because I think he, better than anybody else right now, has his finger on the pulse of the country, and he can see that people are getting bottled up and the top is about to explode. And a lot of these other politicians, they just don't see it. All right, they're sitting in their mansions, their governor's mansions. They're still collecting a paycheck. They still have all the luxuries that they come with. These celebrities that you see making these stupid freaking videos out there have all their living in their mansion, have all their luxuries. They have all their money. They're not feeling the razor thin line that the rest of America is standing on right now, where they're about ready to go over the breach, and they need to have a valid reason why. And they need to have a valid reason or valid time frame for when that breach is going to end. Otherwise, they're going to start rebelling. So that's what I think is getting ready to happen out there. I'm gonna keep an eye on it for a couple weeks, because I don't think it's going to last much longer than that. Something's really going to have to give here. Something's going to have to break through, or you're going to see more of these protests. You're going to see more of these people just basically say they're not doing it anymore. And then you're going to have people push back on that, because you still have a large group of people that are now mad at these people and saying, well, you going out is just going to make it even worse, and we're never going to get let out of our houses. So you're starting to see this divide in the country between the everybody's going to die, we need to do whatever the government tells us to save everybody's lives, and these people that are saying, look, you're jeopardizing my livelihood, my jobs. The lines at the food banks are getting longer. I mean, you got people who have never had to take government assistance, begging for government checks and waiting in food lines. And there's a large percentage of the country that just does not want to do that. So now you're starting to see another schism to go along with all the other schisms that we had in the country, where you're starting to get the people digging in their heels saying we all need to stay at home because you're going to jeopardize our health and kill all of us. And the rest of the people that are saying, look, I'm starting to question what's going on here and think that maybe we've gone a little bit too far and we need to pull back, and you're starting to see those two sides start to collide. So that's just one more, civil discourse and opposite sides of an argument that we have in the country right now. So just that's my opinion. Just wanted to get that out there. As always, if you like what I have to say in the channel, subscribe, click the notification buttons, like, share, give me a thumbs up, give me a comment. Again, I'm always happy to debate what people think. If you disagree and you think everything's going hunky-dory, that's fine. If you think my 2-week estimation is optimistic and you think things are about to blow up in the next couple of days, that's fine too. I'll be happy to debate it with everybody. But just want to do a quick little video giving my thoughts on that. So everybody, in the meantime, stay safe, obviously, stay healthy, stay open if someone will let you. And as always, carry on.